We know that in these last 10 nights, the Prophet ﷺ would tighten his belt, right? And there's different interpretations of what this means, but the scholars generally say that it's the way we would understand it is to roll up our sleeves, right? It's time to get to work. There's no need to look back now. These last 10 days, we can just focus on what's ahead of us, right? We're always supposed to, and for any person that tries to achieve success, his mercy encompasses everything. And his mercy is far greater than anything you and I could ever fathom. Where he gives us this opportunity in these last 10 nights, where if we're just able to focus, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us a complete do-over. He is willing to set us free from the fire of hell. He's willing to forgive all of our sins. What does the word Ramadan actually mean? Where does it derive from? And the scholars say that the word Ramadan, it derives from the Arabic word Ramad or Ramda, right? And this word, this idea of Ramad or Ramda, the idea behind it is intense heat, right? Two things that intense heat provides. One benefit that intense heat provides is purification. In the month of Ramadan, there's this intense spiritual heat that's piercing into our hearts, that we allow to get stuck into our hearts throughout the year. The month of Ramadan, in its nature, has such an intense effect that those sins, just by us fasting through the day, that heat is so intense that it's purifying our heart. The second benefit of intense heat is what? That it allows something to transform into the future. Meaning what? That for anyone that's ever, more than we were able to just a few weeks ago. Because Ramadan has that power. It has that power to transform us. While we're fasting, that sense, that awareness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there, it kicks in. And we are much more with the reality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us, right? We enter into that state of muraqabah, where we recognize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of us and we are aware of that fact. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us that you do it every year. You do it in the month of Ramadan. That in the month of Ramadan, for 17 hours a day, for 30 straight days, you leave things that your body requires. If you're able to do that because of your awareness of Allah, we're proving to ourselves that we can give those up throughout the year. If we can give up food and water during the month of Ramadan, no one can do it without the tawfiq of Allah. That we need to, in these days, in these last few days that remain, we need to pour our hearts out in dua. We need to raise of my servant, meaning we should have a husnul dhan of Allah. We should have a good opinion of Allah. We should ask Allah Ta'ala with desperation and then be confident that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has accepted our dua. And the last thing and one of the ways the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the keys that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us in hadith, that who are those people that are protected from the fire? That the tear that is shed from the eye of a servant out of the fear of Allah, when they're sitting alone and remembering Allah, a tear that is shed from their eye, even if the tear is as small as the head of a flea, like very tiny tear, no one can even perceive it. An eye that sheds a tear out of remembrance and fear of Allah, that eye will be forbidden from the hellfire.